Hi guys, FrostFangs here, back again, of course, with another Paladins video. We're going to be playing some raid today. I'm sure you already get the idea of what I'm going for from the title and the thumbnail, but I would call her insanely underrated, actually more so than before when I made a similar sort of video like half a year ago. A bit of a weird intro, but you'll get what I mean as we go through it. It's kind of hard for me to properly approach this one because, like I said, I covered her about 6 months ago saying she was really underrated. She's actually been buffed since then, and I actually see her even less. So I think I'd see her more often and that she'd be played better because she's been improved, but it's actually kind of the opposite, even though I would say she's technically better. Some of the things that they've done to improve her actually make her a bit worse, specifically the right click at the moment for some reason feels weird. It does travel a lot faster, but for some reason it feels like because it travels faster, it actually doesn't ping as often, so it's a little bit less consistent and you end up healing a little bit less. Like I said, hard to explain, but I will get to it. The build is a little bit different from last time, but it's still based on the same thing. We've got reset, extra healing, ultimate gen, 2 filler cards. This one is just the same but leveled differently, and then this is sort of a focus build. Definitely wouldn't say I use this one very often, but if I want the extra health and I'm playing focus, I'll grab it, but most of the time I just stick to this, even though I don't think it is actually the best, like most efficient thing because of the link, the way it works obviously. Also want to mention, when I was thinking of the video, like the most underrated Paladins champion, Rey isn't the only one that came to mind. There are a lot of other characters here as well that I would consider underrated, but I think Rey is just, for whatever reason, a little bit above them, because most of the time when I see a Rey, unless it's a very specific scenario where they're doing really well and they're a really big pain in the ass, specifically those of you guys that play focus on Rey, that just make my life a pain if I'm playing a flanker. Most of the time I see people play Rey, stick to one person, not really heal that much, not really output anything at all, and just play as like a pocket healer, which she can do, but the whole sort of point of this setup and the way I think she's meant to be played is as like a hybrid, which sounds kind of obvious saying that out loud because most healers are meant to be played sort of as like a hybrid, but with Rey specifically, even though she's kind of designed as a pocket healer, I feel like she fits quite well outside of that niche and people just think of her as that one sort of thing. Basically what I'm saying is that she's not the only character that is above where I think most people perceive her as. We are meant to carry here, judging from the loading screen, so I should probably go for like a focus damage Rey setup. We do have a Grok as well, so maybe I'll go for that. I'll start with focus, we'll go from there, see if Grok goes for damage. He's gone for totemic ward, so yeah, let's roll Rey damage. One thing I really do like about the way of playing sort of damage Rey is that you do still heal for like a crazy amount if you're just paying even the slightest bit of attention to the rest of her kit. Your right click is only a healing ability, your Q it also still uses a heal if there's anyone that you want to try and damage with it, but the focus talent just gives you insane slows on people, and if you've gone against it, I'm sure you know what I mean. We've got Shrapnel, Display, Force Fusilier, Totemic, Nightshade, Aegis, Subservient, Debilitating, Totemic again. Double tank, maybe this wasn't the right option. Seems like Drogos is back at spawn, Grok's here, Octavius playing the left side, Victor's on the top doing summon, we'll throw that there. Frame rate issues for whatever reason in Paladins recently for me have been worse than normal. I haven't changed anything about my setup and other games are fine, but Paladins is just giving me trouble. I also forget that you can kind of mark through shields with Rey. It's actually kind of a weird thing to do sometimes. Grok there just laying down every totem in the goddamn game. We'll see if we can get rid of this Sky here. My god, it's been a while. Did say it in the intro, but yeah, her right click feels really inconsistent after the change. I was expecting it to feel better. For a while it did feel like it was just a straight buff, but after playing like a bunch of games with Rey, sometimes I feel like it just doesn't work as consistently as before. But I would say she is a very, very good character, and a lot of people just think of her as like the pocket heal that can't really do that much. Her F is insanely strong, and a lot of people don't realize that either. Obviously there's counters to it, but we can save the Grok here with the F. Never mind. Seems like we're in a bit of a tough one here. Have I just crashed? That would be an absolute classic. I've played a bunch of games today, didn't crash at all. Go to record something and I crash on video. Do also want to mention that whenever I do crash or whenever I've seen crashes in game, it's very rarely just like one person. It's usually a bunch. Here Drogos is gone and also Grok. Still don't really like her ultimate. I'm dead here by the way, but it's fine. It does the job. It does, you know, the heal thing. I would still love it to do something if you mark an enemy and then ultimate. Like if it just boinks a bunch of their health, that'd be kind of fun. Just really like the idea of her being sort of like a pocket healer or like a pocket damage, because you can only mark one person and you're using your entire ultimate for it. There's a lot of other ultimates that are kind of similar where it gives you like a nearly a guaranteed kill. Think of like a Zinult, for example. Something like that where you just mark someone, you go for the ult, has like a charge up time like normal. I guess the fact that you couldn't do anything to counter it would feel kind of bad, but it would give you sort of a reason to use your ultimate if you're being pushed. You know, as a healer, someone's running on you, getting flanked or something, you pop the ult on the enemy and you get rid of him. It'd be kind of fun like this, but now it just doesn't do anything. There is the defeat. We'll quickly move over to a game 2. That one was an absolute mess. It was a 2v5 at one point. The stats, if for whatever reason you're interested, we'll keep it rolling and then move over to a game 2. I do really like Rey a lot. I still think she could be improved. There's a few things that for my personal preference I would change about her, but overall she is so goddamn strong and a lot of people just don't give her credit for it. A lot of it does come down to playstyle, and I also want to say that she is a lot of effort compared to the other healers. To get the same sort of output, I feel like you have to put a lot more effort into Ray. Other characters here that I'd say are really underrated or underplayed, Willow comes to mind as one that I don't see that often, and when I do, it's usually by people who really know what they're doing, but her ultimate, her F, in just like the right scenarios and played correctly, are really, really strong. Her dead zone is also massive, even though, you know, a little bit less so now that all the chord rise changes, it's still really, really strong. This video is focused on Ray. I just wanted to make it clear that she's not the only one I'd say is underrated. I'll make other videos on the other characters soon. Hopefully they do something to her restraint talent though, because that one, compared to the other two here, is just not it. We'll go for the same sort of thing, but the other talent, they got window opportunity, chain reaction, tremors. Let's stick to the Inara. One reason I think that she is so underrated, I think I said this in the other video, I don't know why that didn't bounce there, I think it might have been his wall. I'm totally dead. The thing I was trying to say before I got cut off there by like 3 of them is that the reason I think Ray goes so unnoticed and her power is sort of subtle is that you get so much ult gen with her and people don't realize that. That over a course of a game can make such a big difference. Definitely a big reason though why her build is so important is because if you don't go for a specific build, your ult gen capabilities, that is a really big part of why she's so strong, you're just not gonna get. Same thing with the right click reset, which is sort of what I mean with her sort of just being underappreciated or I guess underutilized, but hopefully you get what I mean. The whole reason I thought about it is just because I made all those videos about the sort of really, really important builds that make a huge difference, and Ray's is 100% one of them, because if you're not running the right thing on Ray, you're doing yourself such a big disservice, because such a massive part of her power, I'm dead here, comes from her build. Her talent, not so much. Her talent is important, but it doesn't matter as much, which is why you want to make sure you're running the right thing. And if you're just running one of the default setups, even though I don't remember them off the top of my head, maybe they're fine, you want to be running something that fits the sort of thing you're going for. There's an F, the right click here, and like the open spaces is definitely better, but in like those weird kind of angles that you get quite often in Paladins, it feels a little bit worse, which is why I said, even though it's like mostly a buff, it does sometimes feel like a nerf to her. That was a team wipe there, but the other big thing with it is that if you're not landing your left clicks, your healing output is so reduced that it's not going to feel very good compared to a lot of other healers, so you do want to be trying to land your left clicks on the enemy tank or just anybody you can hit it on to try and get that right click out as much as possible, which buffs your ult gen, which also buffs your healing output, and just everything comes together. Kind of finish off her there. We'll go for the ult. I'm dead though, banished there from the Atlas, just kind of chilling. I'm dead any second. We're going to try and get some heals, but I've nearly got the F up. We're actually somehow still here. There's a right click, that's Atlas behind. We're going to try and pull some jukes. We have got quite a bit of speed in the setup. That's a rewind. I'm gone. Never mind. Do kind of wish that her mark would auto shift if there's people in front of you that it can mark to. If your like target dies, that would be a really nice quality of life thing. Might make her too good, but I would love something similar to what happens with like a Corvus mark, although maybe that'd be not really worth effort like implementing, because most of the time you're going to be able to do it manually, but sometimes it can be kind of jank. I like to see it anyway. Don't have anybody to heal here. Did Mark the Kazumi manage to actually get rid of her? What plays? There's a mark on the Atlas and an F. Right click, there's a nice little bounce with the speed on it. BK going in here with the thing. I'm actually being chased by the 7. Didn't realize that. I don't really have a way to deal with him. I'm not going for focus, and I can kind of trade sometimes if you're, you know, prepared with it. If you've got a teammate with you where you can bounce your heal, or else it's kind of going to die. Mark and the ultimate there on the Inara. Going to get some big heals. She's definitely more effort, like I said, so over the course of a game you're going to feel like you're doing a lot, and your team's probably not going to notice it as much because a big part of the power is the ult gen. But hopefully if you're marking people properly and you're paying attention, you will actually keep people up, and they will kind of notice because of that mark and just sort of seeing what's going on. The F, I feel like, is also a really big reason why she's sort of underappreciated and not noticed as much, is because you won't notice that F is reducing so much damage until you've mitigated like half of what was coming at you. That is Inara going for the ult. We'll try and time it when they come out of the stun. That's a 7 ult, I think. I got fear. I try and always jump before that happens so you get a little bit of mobility, but this is over. Sati ult, rewind. Maybe we can finish off the Kazumi. I said Sati ult, but that was a Kazumi ult. There goes the Fernanda. That's a double mark on her. Can we keep her up? There's an F. I guess that kind of worked. There goes Zin. Tried to mark him, that didn't work. Get focused here from the 7, pulling some really stupid movement, but it kind of worked. You might have noticed me doing that a little bit more often in videos. I tried to stop doing it because it's kind of bad for like when you're watching it, but when I jump I usually do like stupid movement like this. Pop the F here, getting hit from Zin on the side. Just something to mention, I don't know if it's actually making that big of a difference because I don't see people do it that much in like the opposite direction, but jumping around and kind of pulling some weird angles can actually save your ass if you're kind of, you know, swaying, and can't remember the right word for it off the top of my head right now because I'm trying to, you know, not die, but that 7 is really going after me. Props to him, he's doing a good job of getting rid of the healer, and it seems like all the time it works out because then he dies right afterwards because he wasn't focusing anyone else and just getting rid of me, and the team's kind of covering me. Hello Kazumi, we've got the mark on, I guess, Sati. I don't know if that's switched. I feel like I marked the Kazumi there. I'm miscalling the names I think a ton in this video. There's a mark and an F. I thought I heard a 7. Ultimately that was a different sound effect. Hits on him. Damage output is definitely nothing to stick your nose about. It's actually somewhat solid. I do like the idea that they, you know, made your F you know, get rid of anti-heal if you go for the taunt, but I feel like that should just be part of our base kit and they should make the taunt something else. That'd be a cool way again to make the thing that I said earlier where it's kind of like a hybrid mix thing. Pocket healer or pocket damage, I think is what I called it. That is really cool. I like that being in the taunt, but they should move it to the base kit, make the taunt something else. Maybe make the taunt give your ultimate like a crazy amount of damage and then reduce the ultimate gen amount or something. There's a load of things they could do, but hopefully in the future she gets a couple cool changes to make her a little bit more varied. There are the stats for the second one. Did much better there, although still had a bit of a hard time because of that 7. Overall, pretty good game, pretty good showcase for it actually, but going to keep this video a little bit shorter than maybe I otherwise would, just because I feel like I've gotten everything out that I already wanted to get out about Rey without repeating myself too much. There are a lot of other characters there, like I said, Willow, Talus, although Talus is a bit of a hard one to argue compared to like a Willow, Fatu, and 7 characters that a while ago I would have called underrated, but as time's gone on and as the months have gone by, I feel like people have caught up and realised how goddamn strong these two are. Tyra is definitely one that I think I've called underrated before, and I would definitely still call her underrated. You know, even after the nerfs and stuff, she's still really, really strong, way more so than people give her credit for. Eevee is one I can't really include at this point because I feel like people sort of realise that if you're up against a really, really good Eevee, your life is just pain and you're not really going to be able to do very much, you're just going to get blasted. Betty is also one, like 7 and Fatu, that I would have called underrated, but these days I feel like people are sort of capitalizing on it and realizing how goddamn strong Betty is when played properly. Pretty sure I got to everyone I wanted to mention, but if I forgot someone, definitely let me know down in the comments if you think there's someone here that's underplayed or underrated that I didn't already sort of at least touch on. I'll make some videos on some of the other characters soon. I think Betty is probably up next. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys all really, really soon, and as always, stay frosty.